Today is going to be interesting mainly because we are exploring an area that I feel has been covered plenty of times by other YouTubers, but sometimes not in a great amount of depth or in a different style as me. So, Hidden Azeroth specifically has made a video about this place, and many others have also either made a video or even have reached directly out to me to tell me that, hey, this is a great area to explore, you should try. That place is Shadowfang Keep. I have heard many people tell me about this area, and it's pretty awesome. Now, as always, I at first try my own way to break out of bounds in each instance, but this time I couldn't actually find an alternative route to break outside of the playable area. Beneath us is Silverpine Forest, and if you jump out of bounds, you will be teleported out of the instance. I have heard that there is a way to do this without being teleported out of the instance, but I couldn't find exactly the right direction to fly. Instead, I used Hidden Azeroth's method of escaping the dungeon, though I know he probably is not the first one to perform this glitch. The best way to get out of bounds is to use your parkour skills as a demon hunter and make it to the sledge here. From here, there's a small area that you can clip into, and landing here allows you to fall into the out of bounds area underneath the keep. It may take a couple of attempts, but it is certainly not difficult. While I look underneath the keep, I do want to explain how the rest of this video is going to go, as we have a lot to explore. We can explore a good chunk of Silverpine Forest, or we can explore the ruins of Gilneas. If you are just here to see Gilneas and what that looks like and how to get there, I will have a timestamp in the description, or you can use the chapters to head straight there. But I do want to say that the Forest of Silverpine has plenty to offer us as an explorer. Let's explore the out-of-bounds Silverpine Forest first. The first thing I do is decide to climb over the mountains to the north, and doing this led me to a nice little farm called Olsen's Farthing. It's a beautiful little area, and here's where you'll start to notice something weird. The lamppost here is incredibly purple, and it looks completely out of place. More on that in a minute. Well, when we walk into the barn, the original music will start playing, and you might wonder why I explore the entire barn, but there have been cases where Blizzard has hidden things in the rafters of a barn, so you never know. I then traveled across the decrepit fields and went to this lovely looking building here. You can find a bat hanger. I don't know if that's what those are called, whatever they are. And there's also a massive graveyard in this area as well. We've arrived at a very neat location, the Sepulcher, a forsaken town. Again, you'll notice all the really deep purples, and they mismatch with the whole vibe of the atmosphere. That's actually because Shadowfang Keep and Silverpine Forest use different lighting effects, and this doesn't really fit well here. And now I will explore what would be the inn of the Sepulcher. It's all here, music and details of course, no NPCs. You can even sit in the chairs, which is nice, but sadly they are all properly named, unlike some other areas I know. I checked out the other small house here, and it has a lovely little campfire in the middle of it. Now at this point I decided to leave, but if you were to do that, I would say it's a mistake. I missed something very interesting here. I actually came back from the direction of the path that you normally enter the town from, and there I saw this weird path that changes from the original path before the Cataclysm into the new weirdly purple path that replaced it. Really neat looking, but that's not all. This time I decided to explore the graves a little bit more, and I noticed that there was a giant hole in the ground where a mausoleum should have been. It's always cool to see a weird hole in the ground, but this one had an even greater surprise. 2 little pink and white checkered cubes. It's always fun to see these, especially in an area that I thought would be scrubbed clean due to the out-of-bounds area being so well known by explorers. Other than those awesome cubes, the texture is incredibly jacked up. Let's head back to the unupdated pathway and head straight north. We will hit the edge of the map, and then I traveled west from here. Doing so led me into the dead field. Well, half of it anyway. There's nothing too exciting in these houses, but they can be explored. Now beyond this weirdly placed wall is North Tide's Run. This is a neat little area where the Horde ship dropped off some orcs, and the boats and the camps are all still here. Next, we once again travel north from the keep and stay on the main path for a bit. Eventually, we will run into what I think is called the Deep Elem Mine, which is so deep in fact that it leads to a hole in the map. I guess you really can dig forever for treasure. Just after the mine, you'll see a weird break in the path turning from Cataclysm turning from the Cataclysm one into the original path from Vanilla WoW. Really interesting, as this is one of the only ways you'll be able to see Vanilla Silver Pine Forest, other than in the out of bounds area of the old Husband Foothills, which I have a video on if you want to see that. I continue following the path, and you can even see the old lampposts and even an old version of a bridge, which is super interesting. You'll notice something weird about the bridge though. There's no water underneath it when I think normally there's water underneath this bridge. I'm not 100% sure about this area, but I'm pretty darn... I think there is water supposed to be there. There aren't any flying fish though, so it makes the area a bit boring. Okay, well that's all fine and good, but it's time to get a little bit risky. Let's check out the Forsaken Camps along Pyrewood Village. It's actually quite amazing how much of this area we can explore without getting zoned out. When entering the buildings that aren't destroyed, it'll actually play Gilnean music, some of my favorite in World of Warcraft. At some point while exploring this area, I flew a little too close to the sun and was teleported out. How freaking sad. I was very disappointed with that. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where is Gilneas? We are getting there. Hold your war guns. There are only two areas left that I want to explore before that. Lordamere Lake and Ambermill Farm. Here's the lake, and it's the only white textured area in this entire section of the map until we get to the Gilnean area. And going closer to the shore shows that there are flying fish all over the place. There are Murloc camps everywhere, as you can expect there to always be Murlocs in these areas. Beyond the lake though, we can finally see Ambermill Farm. The first thing I do is explore all the outer houses. They're neat and they all have linked audio files to them, but I'm not gonna sit and show every single audio. I mean, just know that they have generic undead audio in them. It's pretty cool. Then I explored the walled area, and it's a dang neat area. I always loved seeing Ambermill Farm, as I've seen it in a couple out of bounds areas now. Also, there's this weird room with a ton of chairs. Now, I haven't quested here in a long time, so I can't remember why these are here, but it is really bizarre to just come across this. Alright, it's been long enough. Let's head to the lighthouse outside of Gilneas. This is actually something I've never explored before, so here's where we get into that stuff that many may have not seen or at least have not been to in the game. If you travel southwest into the ocean, you can swim right up to these jagged pieces of land sticking out in the deep purplish blue waters. They're pretty neat to look at, but we really want to get to the lighthouse. On the way there, you will see some alliance ships, which were there to, I believe, help the Worguns, if I remember that correctly. Initially, when you reach the base, you'll have to do some parkour, but that's no trouble for a demon hunter, and we can make our way right up to the lighthouse portion of the island. I mean, I guess if you just travel to the other side, you could, climb up the staircase that's there, but what's the fun in that? We're a demon hunter, we need to have fun. A really cool detail about the alliance ships here is that there are seagulls flying above them, so all the seagulls are still in here. Well, here is the lighthouse. It's a pretty amazing area. Up here, you can also get some good as well as unfortunate views of Gilneas. Yeah, well, it's untextured, it's just a plateau, but it is still very neat to look at. Before we head there, we can land on these alliance ships and the amazing boat music plays, some of my favorite music in World of Warcraft again. All three boats seem to be intact and can be fully explored to my surprise. There's always something eerie about empty boats with lively music playing. Really creepy, really cool, and it's also an amazing discovery. Let's start looking at the ruins of Gilneas. I started off on this rock in the farthest southwestern corner, and it actually had a few ruins on it. I was actually kind of surprised. I couldn't remember if there was or not. There wasn't much detail, but I did think that it was at least worth pointing them out. A giant portion of this map is also cut off, which leads to some strange views of the island. The water looked a little weird here, and you know what that means. If the water looks weird, we gotta jump in. It's just shallow enough to where I can use my mount. Definitely a strange discovery, and now we get to go to the main Isle of Gilneas. When we first get onto the island from the southwest, we can actually see some undead camps here. I don't know why, but even seeing these here were a bit unexpected. I thought maybe they would have purged this area. Heading towards the wall, we can see the ruins and shards of Gilneas that lay before us. Now, there are many more Forsaken Plague Wagons and other Forsaken Camp pieces. It truly looks like their plan is in vain though, as the entire city doesn't seem to exist and there's a giant wall in front of them. Unfortunately, it did not matter how far I explored in this textureless platform, I saw no major city. It's disappointing, but it is still very bizarre that there's a huge plateau here. Kinda cool to look at. Well, there's one thing left to do with the second to last part of the exploration. Let's explore the bottom of the Gilnean Wall. There are hundreds of flying fish here, and the textures are so dang weird. The waterfall pouring into nothingness is absolutely beautiful, and I just found this whole area to be one of my favorites in all of my explorations. It looks like we are crawling on the destroyed sections of the wall. It's just very well done all around. The last place we look at before the top of the wall is the white part of the underneath section of the wall. I figured that this area was strange enough to include, as the legs of the bridge creep down into the white expanse of the nothingness. Let's take one final look by peering over the edge. The wall extends incredibly far down. The last, but absolutely not the least, is the Gilnean Wall. Let's travel to the top of it. In order to get there, I went to the Forsaken side, which I haven't shown off yet, and it's a bunch of worgen camps that are quite neat to see. We can also, of course, see the door that fell. After we get far enough to the east, we can start to climb the mountains all the way to the top of the wall. Climbing these mountains is not very difficult, but it does take some skill here or there. Well, we are here, the top of the Gilnean Wall. Let's explore. First, we travel all the way to the eastern part and then head all the way to the western side. The waterfall here is truly amazing to look at. Again, this waterfall is incredible. I don't know what it is, but I could sit here and watch it for hours. Such a neat little area. I assume on the other side of the wall is supposed to be a lake, but I'm not entirely sure. As we approach the east side, we can see a weird wall crossing into the main one. Kinda strange, but it is here. Jumping to the other side shows that it's actually a massive wall with a white jagged texture on the other side. Okay, well, let's now head to the western side while taking in these beautiful views. The wall does seem to be more intact this way until we get to where the door was. Being up here just goes to show how massive these doors truly were. It's incredible. On the other side of the door, we can see giant chunks of wall are missing. We finally have arrived at the western end of Gilnean Wall. How amazing of an exploration this was. We made it back to the lighthouse. I am incredibly lucky to get to show this absolutely amazing out of bounds area off for all of you. If you want to show support, feel free to like the video, as it is the best way for others to see this video, and it helps me know that you like it. You can also subscribe to my channel to see many more explorations in the future. Thank you guys for watching.